Thank you for tuning into my channel. We're going to make the log cabin block today, so if you want to know how to make a cool block like this using your scrap fabrics, please stay tuned. When you start a log cabin block, the main thing that you need to know is that you're going to use a lot of strips, a variety of different sizes of rectangle, and you can use any size that you want, but I'm going to be working on I started with 1.5 inches and I finished with 7.5 inches. I use 2 storage methods to keep mine. These are my strips for my lights, and they start with 2.5 and go all the way up to 6.5. And I have some 1.5s, but I've already sewn those to some dark fabrics. The log cabin quilt is a combination of light fabrics and dark fabrics, and as you can see here, one side is primarily light and one side is primarily dark. For my dark fabrics, I've decided to use envelopes that I've just labeled with my measurements. So I have a 2.5. They started with 1.5 inches and they go all the way up to 7.5 inches. Okay, so it's just one way to help you keep organized when you are when you're making your strips. So let's put one of these bad boys together. Now, when you start the log cabin block, you're going to start with a light fabric and a dark fabric that you're going to join with a 1/4 inch seam. These are 1.5 inch squares that I have joined together with a 1/4 inch seam, light and then dark. And to add, we're going to add logs on either side of this. So one of the things that I did was I wanted to make sure that I started with my light fabric on top, and then I'm going to add a light fabric to this side. And once I do that, it's going to look like this. So here are the 2 that I started with, and I added 1 light. Okay? So after this is first round of light, and then I'm going to add a dark on either side. So what I would do is I'm going to give these a 1/4 turn. And then I'm going to add a dark here on this side. So we have the round of light and then the first dark. And from here, give it a 1/4 turn. And so on the right side, I'm going to add another dark. And you can see that here. Okay, so if you look at the center square, we have 1 round of light and 1 round of dark. And although this purple is, it looks darker, I've chosen to use it as a light. That's one of the flexibilities of using your scraps. So we have 1 round of light, 1 round of dark. So the next thing we're going to do is give it a 1/4 turn and put a light strip here. And we've done that. And then another 1/4 turn and another light strip. And that's here. So now we have 2 rounds of light around this center dark square and 1 round of dark. And then 1/4 turn. Now we're going to add the dark. So there's going to be 1 here and 1 here. Alright, so here's the first dark. And here is the second dark. After a 1/4 turn, second dark. Like this. Alright, so now we have the center, and then 2 rounds of light, 2 rounds of dark. Now for me, I needed 1 more round of each one. So we'll go just 1 strip at a time, 1/4 turn, light, 1/4 turn, second light. Okay, and so now we have 3 light, 2 dark, and then here is after the 1/4 turn, here is the first light, and then I'm just going to use one of these that I've already finished for the whole thing. So here is my finished block. You can see that it's mostly light on one side and dark on the other side. And the cool thing about this block is that there are lots of different ways that you lay it out. I'm going to put some pictures there so that you can see how to do it, and then I'll come back. So I've laid out 9 of these blocks just to give you a sample of how they can be laid out. They are really cool as far as versatility. So once you make all your blocks, then you can come up with some cool designs. So the first thing that I've done is I've just laid them out with the dart going up to the right. Okay, and that's a very that's a traditional setting. You could call it like 7 up because these all make the number 7. And if I make a few simple turns, we can change it very easily. So I'm going to turn some of these so that we have a row kind of light and a row of dark. So light, and all I'm doing is just turning the blocks so that you should be able to see basically rows of lights and darks. Okay, so here's a light side and here's a dark side. Okay, so like for example, here's a dark, then light, dark, light, dark, and so on. And you can see it once you put them all out there together, they'll be very pretty. Alright, and the last thing I'm going to do is make like a little, kind of like a little chevron pattern. But when you are making your blocks, of course, please experiment, because there are so many cool stars and things that you can come up with. And then, let's see, nope, that's not right.